Sarah got her second round today. She's 95% protected now.
Yeah.
My sister's supposed to get her second shot tomorrow, and she's already had it, but like at least she's got.
Well, Sarah has the antibodies too. They still gave it to her. She doesn't remember ever having it.
I wanted to donate blood.
Scott, your wife did it, or
Yep.
has she had both rounds already, or?
Today was her
No,
second.
does she work? She's not working at night, is she? Or is she?
Yeah.
Oh, is she? Okay, I don't know if she still was or not.
Yeah, we had to sign up today at work too. I think National Guard's taking numbers for essential workers.
Sure. Yeah, we had to sign up for school, but they told us it wouldn't be now until maybe April, since they've added the 65 and the older instead of whatever 75 number. Is that your file?
It was on top of your packet.
That's your file.
Oh. I've got Wi-Fi now, so hopefully I won't need the packet.
Camera's not focusing. It's okay if I'm blurry. It probably looks better that way.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
All right, good.
Yeah, it's, I'm sitting here.
From you.
Okay.
You're muted and recording.
I am what?
I'm muted and recording.
Okay. Does everybody not have an agenda that wants one? I've seen them.
I'm good.
Yeah.
What's my company? I didn't read that receipt.
Give me the number.
Doesn't, oh, then that's 107.
Michael Todd for 107 was
307.
307.
That's Pioneer. I just didn't find it.
Oh, yeah.
So is the 77338 right for the John Deere now? Matthew? I know the receipt in here, it said, I didn't think it was right, the 1600 or whatever it was on here.
It is not correct. It is still working on doing that.
Worked out.
Did we get settled up on the sprayer?
No,
We sent, I thought we had that squared away.
same,
We sent the last payment.
not quite.
Well, we
Everything's-
will send the last payment today.
The sprayer is paid for. It went directly to Acres,
All right, that's what I thought.
but it also got billed to John Deere Financial. So
Oh, credited back. Well, let me know if you need help doing that.
I'm gonna let you know.
Which we have to buy through John Deere Financial to get the government deal? Is that what it is? Or what?
No, not necessarily. It's just easier to send it to account and pay off that.
I can't tell if any of these have a 10.
Are you on the dog park committee
No,
per se? No?
No.
You just won't do the drawing?
we met a few times, talked about it, and
Gotcha.
just as a city contact.
Sure, no, that's good. The Arlington Community Fund, we had a meeting today and
Mhm.
it was for $1,300 for the gravel for it. I don't think that seemed like very much. So they're gonna pay for all the gravel that they would need for the parking lot? I don't think so.
Gravel isn't terrible. White rock isn't terrible. That's it.
Oh, okay.
I mean, if we're just talking. a couple
And are
driveways.
they, I'm trying to figure out where were we gonna park then? Someone had asked on that committee and I was like, well, I don't think there's a final drawing necessarily.
Well, yeah,
It's
I would like to see them have
something
First
off
Street
of
access.
Oh, First Street access, okay.
that way.
Yeah,
you're
just use
not-
the current driveways that are there that
Yeah.
already have culverts.
To me, that seems like a no-brainer, but
Yes.
Reason they didn't want
Those are my
to narrow it up the dog park so far to use those driveways.
Gotcha.
So the option of put on the backside and use the alley as a parallel park, reduce the parking area, left them more room for the dogs.
Gotcha.
That was the logic behind why going that way versus First Street, you got to go deeper and you have the cars.
And
backing
then,
in around.
well, and then when you go this way, then you're also getting closer to the neighbors in the alley, which that was a concern.
all right. I've got 6:30. Let's go ahead and call this meeting to order. Nikki, can you do a roll call for us, please?
Travis Kramer,
Here,
Scott McLean,
Here,
Gordon McGee.
Here.
Jason Weasey.
Here.
Paul Kraus.
Here. The Open Meetings Act is posted on the wall. Item 4, the consent agenda. I don't remember anything that we would have to pull out separate. We do have just a small typo as the amended. So I would say that they presented you with the fixed version. So I would say that we should approve the amended version of the consent agenda.
Is letter big D, that's not the liquor license too, right? For the
That's
fundraiser, or that's just to use the facility?
Single day liquor license for the.
Oh, that is,
fundraiser.
okay, that's what SDLA stands for. Okay. So like on their permit, they said 200 plus. Do we know an exact number for them or? We're gonna have the fire marshal?
Can't,
They can't be over 50%, right? Or is it
75%
75?
of 350, so we.
Oh, is that the number you decided was 350? Okay. I just wanted to make sure that they know exactly how many can be there, so there's no. I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second it.
As amended, as presented? You
As
said?
presented.
Okay, yes. Nikki, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented. If there's no further discussion, let's vote on that motion.
Scott McCorney,
Aye.
Gordon McGee.
Aye.
Jason Weasey.
Aye.
Travis Kramer.
Aye.
Paul Kraus.
Aye. Item 5A. Discussion and possible approval of declaring 120 Elm Street a nuisance property. We're still in discussion on, we're having trouble with GIS, making sure, did we get that verified?
It's fixed.
Okay,
It's west. They
it
got
is west Elm Street. And that's what our papers say. John, you verified that the house was secured, right?
Yes, the house is secured except for the garage had a door open. I think that Nikki took a picture of that. I don't know if she gave it to you. The side door on the garage, we're not allowed to get up on the premises by law, so we just took a picture of it.
What was on the table?
Yeah, we got that.
I spoke with his, Bill Snyder's wife on the phone today. I didn't realize he's in a nursing home, has been for the last few months, and has not been able to get around or do anything. So she was gonna send someone up to look at it and get it secured.
Okay. I kind of feel like we could hold off on this with the being weeds this time of year. I think our major concern is that the building is secured and there's not roads going in and out. I think we also need to get with, I think all of the properties that are impacted in the buyout, but the potential buyout should be treated the same, I think. I mean, they're all probably to the point where they're unsafe to be inside and they need to either be bulldozed or sealed off. We're having trouble getting in touch with NRD at this time. I don't know with the people in charge of that portion of the plan.
You think that's the next step is the NRD has to do their share before anything can happen?
What's been confusing, when we talked to him once, I asked this question, I says, well, how come we can have these properties sit here for 4 or 5 years, but they're, you know, the previous properties we had that we waited on, they weren't sitting there with mold in them. Every one of these places has had water in it and has mold in it when we went to inspect them. So my concern is more of a health and safety issue now that, you know,
Right.
these things aren't sealed up. And what if, you know, some kids are getting in there, getting mold. So I think we need to work with the NRD and try and figure out how we can maybe expedite that process or at least get the demolition done. I don't think they want to put the cart in front of the horse until they actually have the property purchased. You know, it doesn't make sense for them
Right.
to demolish the place, but I don't know how we can make that work if it's gonna sit for 4 or 5 years like it did for the last time we had that, so. I would like to kind of lump all these together so that it doesn't look like we're picking on one property owner. It's just been terribly difficult to get the information we want. Unless somebody feels like we should move ahead with this particular property, I would kind of like to wait and get them all lumped together.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And property. Wonderful.
There's 2 down there. There is 2 behind the old Dairy King. There's another one down the road that we've got a potential agreement to trade with if we support the park. If the village supports the NRD buyout of these properties, we have to keep them as a public green space. We can't allow anything to be built on them, so. There's one of the 5 properties that we may be interested in purchasing so that it doesn't become a park because it's got more potential for real estate value, so. Not that we would probably make much money on it, but it would probably be better for the strategic plan if it was included. All right, if everybody's okay with that, we'll table item A, see if we can get something from the NRD next month. Item B, discussion and possible approval of permitting an unregistered vehicle permit for Bill Thompson at 335 West Elkhorn.
He did not submit another permit. I talked to him today and he said he's got a trailer and he's gonna just move those vehicles out here in the next couple
Okay.
days.
So if that doesn't happen by next month, I guess we start the proceedings against him for unregistered vehicles.
That's the UTV, that's the tractor, that's the Jeep, that's the pickup.
So
UTV, There's not much we can do about it.
We can make them have to have our permit though, can't we?
Not if it doesn't leave the property.
Well, it's not going to because it's sitting there with flat tires.
So,
Gotcha. Okay.
but the vehicles, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, item B, discussion and possible second reading of ordinance 664 regarding parking of trailers on public streets.
That looks like what we talked about.
Everything except for the last word. It looks like it has way too many letters.
Oh, yeah.
Shall be at the owner's sole express.
Oh,
That's-
that's, oh, I didn't get to B yet, I guess. I was looking at A since that's what we. First expense period, right?
Owner's expense period, sole ordinance.
Yeah, I don't think that. I think there's owner's expense. Did you see what he was talking about, Nikki, here?
I'm working on it.
And this is reading one, correct? Or are we gonna wait?
This is reading 2.
Oh, because we did.
We read it last
It
month.
amended. Gotcha.
So it's just expense period.
So just cross everything off after owner's expense. Is that how we're gonna do it?
Yep, that should work.
We just need a motion and a second for the second reading of ordinance 664, if we'd like to do that.
Like you maybe had a question or you're just reading.
I'm just reading,
Okay.
just making sure I got it all.
Move for the second reading and passage of ordinance number 664, an ordinance of the Village of Arlington, Nebraska, authorizing and imposing rules and restrictions on the parking of detached trailers in the Village of Arlington, Washington County, Nebraska, providing penalties for violations of this ordinance herewith and providing for an effective date.
Second that.
Nikki, we have a motion and a second for the second reading of ordinance 664. If there's no further question or discussion, let's vote on that motion.
Jason Weasey,
Aye.
Travis Kramer,
Aye.
Scott McCorney,
Aye.
Gordon McGee.
Aye.
Paul Kraus.
Aye. Okay. Ordinance 663, and this is the possible final reading, ordinance 663.
Remember what my number was that I had a question on? Travis?
663?
Yeah, there was something about,
What number?
I don't remember what it was. Something about that if you store stuff there, you gotta make sure that it's able to be removed in
Wasn't
a
there,
certain amount of time or something.
there was an ATV item, wasn't there? Something about ATVs.
No, it was about the trailers or something, because I was concerned about now that we've made that a trailer or a storage facility. There was something about things in floodplains.
We did address that with our lawyer, as long as they're, or with the property owner at least, and the county.
It's right here, 6.26, guys. Recreational vehicles placed on sites within the special flood hazard areas on the community's official map shall either be on the site for fewer than 180 consecutive days, which if they're storing it there, it could be there for much longer than that. So I was a little concerned. Be fully licensed and ready for highway use, which many of those probably are. So then I'd be okay. Meet the permit requirements and the elevation and anchoring requirements for manufactured homes, which that's not the thing. A recreational vehicle is ready for highway use if it's on wheels or a jacking system is attached to the site only by quick disconnect type utilities. So I was just making sure that we need to inform him that everything that they store there
We did
needs to
have,
be able to be moved right away if there would be flood potential or whatever.
we did have this conversation with him. We told him that anything in there has to either apply to the first or the second one.
Okay, good. I just to cover.
Yep.
Because I don't want him to
Because 180
have someone
days,
drop something off there in that storage facility that's not highway ready to get out of there.
yeah,
Then we could potentially, you know what I'm saying, be stuck trying to clean it up again.
Yep.
So.
no, he was aware of that specific verbiage.
Okay.
And was supposed to make sure that that was in his contract.
Sure, sounds
So,
good. I just didn't notice that last time.
yeah,
Thank you. Did that make sense? I don't think there was anything about ATVs though. That was-
Recreational, I
No,
went somewhere. else with
Gotcha.
it.
This is the third reading, correct?
this is the third and final read for passage.
You got it, or?
Yeah, I got it. I move for the third and final reading and passage of ordinance number 663, which reads, an ordinance of the Village of Arlington, Nebraska, creating floodway and flood fringe districts, defining the same and setting forth regulations thereof. Be it ordained by the chairman and the board of trustees of the Village of Arlington, Nebraska.
Jason seconds that.
Nikki, we have a motion and a second for the third and final reading of ordinance 663. If there's no further discussion, let's vote on that motion.
Travis Kramer.
Aye.
Dr. Corney.
Aye.
Gordon McGee.
Aye.
Jason Weasey.
Aye.
Paul Kraus.
Aye. And you got here just in time for us for the,
Great, appreciate that.
item A, discussion of the audit.
I forgot to bring my copy, so Nikki, I'm gonna have to borrow your copy if you don't mind.
Thank you.
So that's the big audit report, and we have to always do these in draft form initially. And then, required by standards to have an exit conference with the governing body prior to finalizing the audit. You have this letter there? Great, thank you. Sign job then too, right?
Yeah, I can do that.
I'm gonna take this off. So I'd like to do is, the audit went well. Stephen Pleskotch, a staff member at our office. My name is Kent Spiker, for those of you who haven't met me, I'm a partner with Harrison. I've been there a number of years and really in charge of all our municipal audits. And Stephen Pleskotch is the CPA that's actually performed this audit the last couple of years. And this year, I think, went a lot better than last year. I think last year there were some challenges in there. And I think we got through those fine. And this year, I think some of the controls we had suggested got implemented. And I really got this down to just a couple other comments I'd like to bring up as far as the financial reporting and internal controls, and then just kind of run through a little bit of the audit. So first thing I want to look at is the letter itself. So the separate one, a separate letter is a required letter to those charged with governance. And on the audit world, there's about 4 different correspondence you could get. This is one of the required ones. We used to, a lot of times would do a separate management letter, but in the last couple of years, they've started to incorporate the management letter into this letter. If your governing body and management are the same people. Well, in your case, you obviously are. You're the governing body and manage the operations of the village. So I've incorporated my comments into this letter, so we won't have a separate management letter. And then in the audit report in the back, that's where we talk about other type of deficiencies that we would find in internal control or compliance. In the audit report, when we get there, last year I had 2 comments in there. This year I have none. We really have resolved those comments. And so now I just have a few things in this letter that we'll talk about. So when you look at this letter, significant audit findings, you'll talk, first thing it is the qualitative aspects of the accounting practice. So if there was some standards that caused changes in your accounting or financial reporting that were significant to your operation, they would be in here. Now, generally, villages are cash basis, simple reporting. There's really not a lot of complexity to a village audit. So generally, most standards won't impact a village audit. They're generally dealing with pensions and accruals and things like that. So there really are none to mention there. We do talk about estimates. The main estimate in here is depreciation because we do depreciate your proprietary fund assets. So that is an estimate. Difficulties encountered in the audit. Occasionally we will run into that where we feel they're important enough they would need mention there, but there were none here. Corrected and uncorrected misstatements. Those are our adjustments are attached and I'll run through those. Disagreements with management. I'm not aware of any, so there's nothing listed there on the next page. Management representations. I do have this representation letter, and this is a very standard letter on every audit, which basically makes the village board and the clerk take responsibility for the audit. This is your audit, these are your financial statements. The questions we ask you, we assume we're getting honest answers, most accurate answers, and that's what this letter says. So I will ask that this be signed here, typically by the chair and the clerk. That's usually who we get to sign this letter. So I'll hand that up here in a minute. And so this letter here just acknowledges the fact that letter has been received and signed. And so that's what it says there under the management representation. Management consultations with other independent accountants, we're not aware of any. Other audit findings is where we get into the couple comments that I have there. So the one is on basis of accounting, and this is, you can read those 2 paragraphs, but basically what it says is you're not required to be accrual. You're a village, you operate as a village form of government. And so village forms of governments don't have to be on accrual, they can be on cash. You've opted to, or your organized has opted to, or maybe you always have reported your utility fund on an accrual. So we go through and book receivables and payables and those things that you would do on an accrual for a utility fund. If you were operating under a city government style where you had mayor and that, you would be required to have accrual-based utility financials. Now, the big accounting issue right now is, or the thing that has been brought up numerous times, can you be accrual for proprietary funds, utility funds, and cash for governmental funds? And the answer is yes and no. Yes, a lot of people do it, including us. I do it for some cities I work with. And there's a number of them on the state auditor's website, but the accounting standards really say, no, you aren't supposed to do that. But if the state auditor and the people that are governing this allow it, we see it happening. And so it happens. And that's where we're reporting here. So it's not wrong what you're doing. It's absolutely fine. It's just not needed. You could go to cash basis and be cash basis. And I would recommend that. Why do more than you need to do? Unless it's something really meaningful to you guys internally, because accrual is more, accurate really, financial reporting. But most places I know, if they're cash for governmental, they just as soon be cash for utility and make everything the same basis of accounting. So that, again, is my suggestion there. I have visited, we have visited a little bit with the accounting people about that. And I think they tend to agree. It just hasn't happened. So we just we just go with the entries that are on there. The second item is really a similar type item, a major fund and fund accounting. But in this case, there's really not a choice. And I think maybe there's a perception there is a choice, but there's not. If you have a major fund in accounting, just the concepts of basic fund accounting says, if you have a fund that has its own revenue and expenditures and possibly even to where it's restricted for its own purpose, you have to have a self-balancing set of accounts for that fund. And you have to report that fund separately. Well, the street fund is a pretty good example of a fund like that. Where you have highway allocation money that can only be used for that. Sometimes people will have sales tax dollars. A part of that is from motor vehicles, which is restricted to a street fund. So those revenues need to be accountable in that fund, and you should have a self-balancing set of accounts. You kind of do, but you don't. You have an income statement or revenue accounts and expenditure accounts that are by fund. I have fund numbers for all your different funds, but you don't have the balance sheet side. You don't have the cash and due funds. Now, doesn't mean you have to have a separate bank account by any means, but what most villages do is they have what they call a pooled cash account. So I'll have a general fund cash account that's shared by all my funds. And it's real easy to see what share they have because I just look at the profit and loss, and they made money, they get more of the cash. If they lose money, they have less of the cash. And you just figure out how much of the cash pool each fund has. And that's just based on your monthly accounting. So it's a very simple way to track a full self-balancing set of accounts for each fund that you're required to. If it's not required, it can just be part of your general fund. And we can sure make an expenditure object area to kind of do a department like we show the expenses for that department, but it doesn't have to be a full balancing set of accounts. So in your case, your major funds, based on the definition within the accounting pronouncements, are the general fund, the street fund, and the water and sewer fund. Those are your major funds. Everything else could be combined together. So for our purposes, we go through your accounting and we make journal entries to record a full self-balancing set of accounts for those funds so we can report that way on your financials. Internally, you don't report that way. It's not a lot different. There's not many changes. We create some receivable, payable, due to, due from kind of things. So basically I say the general fund, you got $1 million, but really you owe 200,000 to the street because that's their amount. And water, sewer, same way. In reality, you really only need 2 checking accounts, probably one for general and one for utility. Everything else will be pooled in those accounts. So that's what this paragraph says in a longer version that I gave you. Managing cash balances, that's the one item left there that in the middle of page 3 there. That was last year a significant deficiency. You've implemented enough of the controls in this area to where I've just moved it over here. And the one piece that I think we're still missing is we need some documentation of reviewing the bank statement and bank reconciliations. I would like to see somebody initial and date the bank statement and bank rec and then retained by the clerk. I mean, we've got 2 people involved here. You've got enough to have a segregation of duties. You've got an accounting firm and you got your clerk and you've got a board. You've got, that deal. So if one is doing, I do believe the accounting firm does the bank recs, right? So there's no reason you couldn't be the reviewer. And so basically you get the bank statement, you look at, open it, initial data that you've seen, and give it to them to reconcile. They reconcile it, they give it back to you along with the bank reconciliation itself. You look at the bank rec, make sure the cash balances, make sure there's no weird outstanding items on their reconciliation, initial and dated. Now you have it and retain it. That's the process I'm looking for, okay? Just to get somebody else involved in reviewing the bank statement and the bank record. Okay,
Even if those numbers are in our packet every month that we approve, that's not an official review?
no, because it doesn't really tie back to anything. Those numbers are there, but they're not, nobody's checking the bank statement to see if it agrees with the reconciliation. Nobody's checking to see that there's unusual items that are sitting on there, Rec. In fact, the one fraud we did catch you, I mean, this is 20 years ago, but we opened up the bank statement and you could clearly see the canceled checks had been altered. They'd clearly been altered from the signature time. If the person that was the bookkeeper that was reconciling the bank was the only one who seen the bank statement and did that, it would have never got caught. But it got caught because we forced a third person involved, another person. So it's just a control in there to get two people involved in every aspect, not just the overall review, but every aspect. Yeah. So that's the comment in the letter. If you keep flipping back to the journal entries, some of the times we accumulate comments or just suggestions that we just kind of verbally say. They're not important enough. We don't give them a rise to be a deficiency of any type. They're just comments. So sometimes as I'm reading through journal entries, I think, there's probably just a comment there. Why do we have that? And so that's what I find a lot of times. I'll look through these journal entries, and the first one is to allocate prior year net income into fund balance. Well, that's mainly because of those funds I'm talking about, that we don't have a full balancing set of accounts. This is to create that. Reclassifications. Well, when I see reclassifications, sometimes I think, well, what are we not doing right? What don't we understand about our accounting? We still do have a fair amount of reclassification dollars. The biggest piece of that has to do with capital improvements versus capital outlay. We have, there's criteria for what distinguishes a capital outlay. It's a desk, a piece of furniture, equipment, whereas capital improvements is improvements to real estate. And we need to distinguish that in our accounting. And then also between transfers and due to, due froms. A transfer has to be board authorized. I cannot transfer money between the street fund and the general fund, or the utility fund and the general fund, and vice versa, without board authority. I really am not supposed to be able to do that. And I can never transfer money between a utility fund into the general fund without having that budgeted for as a surplus fee, because it's a restricted fund. It's a lit exception to do that. So we had that a couple of years ago, and you just can't do that. So when we see things that say transfers, in my mind, I thought that really isn't a transfer. That's really a due to, due from. It's all part of this self-balancing set of accounts, and one fund spent more than they took in, so they owe another fund some money. So it's not a transfer, it's a due to, due from. So that's what some of these reclassifications are about too. Bond issuance fees, number 3 there, and consolidate the library into your accounts. That's number 4. Number 5, on the next page there, we did some payable adjustments and some depreciation entries. A year ago, depreciation was one of our deficiencies that we had. This year, it went great. They had it reconciled perfectly and everything balanced just fine. Number 7, again, some accounts payables that we added on. When we audit, we have to look, if you're going to record payables, we want to make sure you record them all. And sometimes we see that some get caught into there. So that's what that entry is about. And number 8 is more to do with those transfers and interfunds. And number 9 is to do the intercompany accounts. So that's really, again, back to that due to, due from, creating full balance instead of accounts. And clears that through. Property tax receipts, that was another area, we reconcile the property taxes, make sure what the county says you got is what you recorded. The one thing that helps us is we try to predict property taxes. And so in order to predict that properly, you got to break them out by year because you collect multiple years of property taxes during the course of the year. And so we need to know that breakdown. And so I think Stephen's already mentioned that, Allison, Nikki, so we know that. And that's about it. So that's really the audit comments. That's the, really the result of the procedures we perform besides putting together the financial statement. Any questions or comments on those that I could explain better? If not, I'll just take a minute on the financials. You've seen your numbers. You kind of know where you guys are at, what your numbers are, but since I got a 30-some page report here, I might as well tell you what it says. So if you go to page 1 and 2, that's the auditor's report. It is a unmodified opinion. It does disclose both bases of accounting on there. Page 3 is where we do the statement of net position, and this is your government as a whole. When you look at your government as a whole, we did add last year on there, it just helps make it a little comparable. So when you look up at the top, your cash balances, and you can see last year you had $1.6 million. This year we're up to $2 million. And we know because we're holding some bond money there. That's really increased our cash balance right now. And you can see the debt shows up on the utility funds and your fund balances down below on all the various funds. Some that are within the governmental and then also the business types. You've got the 2 different types. You go to page 4. It's just another way of reporting that's required by GASB 634 on financial reporting. If you go to the bottom third from the line where it says change in net position, that's what I'm always looking at is how are the funds doing? So the governmental funds is the first one and it's up 354,000. You can see it went from $1.2 million to $1.5 million, but that's holding that $1 million bond proceeds in it. Okay. The next line over is the business type activities and it made 94,000. And you can see if it's $1.9 million to $2 million, but that includes fixed assets in there. So you got the value of fixed assets in there. And then you get your overall total compared to last year, both years in a row where we really had some positive growth in equity. Net position. Then you go to page 5 and you get into your governmental fund financials. That's what I was talking about before. We show major funds. So your major funds, a bond fund's always a major fund. I didn't mention that one, but that is always a major fund. So on page 5, your governmental major funds are general, street, and bond. And so you can see the combination of who owes what piece of money there. So you can see the street fund should have 205,000 more than what we're showing on a bank account for them. And that's just because it's a pooled cash with the general fund. So the general fund owes the street fund that money. Okay. And again, street fund is a restricted fund. You can only use it for certain things. And you have to have a 25% match required in there of your highway allocation money. So you have to grow that fund on the revenue side. Now, of course, the expenditure side, a street project can eat that up in a heartbeat. So you can see them in the bond fund where you have what you have left in there. And if you flip to the next page, it kind of shows you how each of those funds did this past year. And of course, the street funds where you had a big project and we spent, $800,000. And so we've got a large decrease in that fund. And that shows up on page 6 there. And some of that got paid out of the general fund. I assume that's for this building, I would guess.
That would be out of sales tax that were paid for this building. Yes, general
But you
fund.
spend it out of the general fund, so that's why I've got 302,000 that's being spent out there, and the sales tax dollars come into the general fund and they get paid out for that building.
And that would have been like construction interest at this point and probably fixtures and.
Correct. Whatever makes up 302,000, I don't recall what's all in that.
So how's the accounting gonna work when the highway allocation fund is going to the bond for the street?
Well, what'll happen is the debt service always pretty much retires, pays debt. Now, there is occasionally, you're paid debt out of a street fund instead of out of a debt service fund. But if you have a shared repayment source. Typically what you do is you take street money, transfer it to the debt service fund and make the entire payment out of the debt service if you're sharing the debt with a levy, a debt service levy. If you're not, you just pay the whole amount out of the street fund and it'll just be a debt service payment out of the street fund.
We're just paying it with a loan that's secured by our street revenue.
Okay. So if the loan has come in, that's a non-bonded debt, then that would just show up in the street fund and the street fund would make those payments.
It is a bond, but it's secured by the street revenue funds. What were those?
And that really doesn't matter.
Highway allocation.
Yeah, that really wouldn't matter what secures the debt. It's really more where's the funding gonna come to pay for it?
Well, it's coming
It's coming from
The highway.
the highway.
So our highway allocation money that.
So
we're
there's
getting-
no levy that's gonna be done against. the
Correct.
payment
Correct,
debt.
yeah.
So in that case, then the debt payments will come all out of the street fund.
Okay.
Right. Is that started yet?
I don't think we've made a payment yet, but we just finalized the loan here in the last 60 days.
Is that the $1 million? or-
Yes.
Yes, it is, okay. Because I had that in there as like a bond anticipation.
Well, we've got two of them. We've got the building loan. I'm not sure why it took so long to get the USDA loan
Oh, okay.
run through. There was always some reason.
Correct.
There's been plenty of reasons in the last 12 months, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we were kind of hoping that one would have been ahead of the street bond, but they kind of went through at about the same time.
So yeah, okay. And is that about the same amount?
It's about the same amount, but we're looking at paying down some of these debts we've got a pretty good surplus in our sales tax right now, so.
Correct, yep. And that's what's sitting in the general funds.
Yeah, and that's the only one that's not restricted. Some of our bonds, I think, are just coming into the point where we could pay off early, so.
Correct, yeah, 5 years. And, I looked at your bonds and generally there's a lot of refinancing going on, but you got pretty low rates. You only have one that hits 3%. And really anymore, if you're not 2 or less, you're probably not as low as you can be because the rates are just really low. But most years are really pretty low, so it's not, I didn't see a.
And then the thing that you don't think about when you refinance is that you're locked in for 5 years. Like now we're thinking, well, maybe we should take some of that excess and pay off some of these.
Yeah, you have to wait for the 5-year call period, but
Yeah.
you're right. If you can hold that cash, you can't earn much money on cash anymore, so it's sure nice to.
Yeah.
just
Pay off
retire.
debt.
I got 2 villages that are retiring some debt right now.
Yeah.
Just because of that exact reason.
We've been awful concerned how sales tax is gonna come through all this, and it seems like it's been fairly steady. So
It's actually been good. I'm a little surprised now.
Yeah, the report from last Friday from the government, I was surprised at how.
There's gonna be a
projections-
repayment. There's that Doug on the LB, that's Nebraska incentive package. I just got a letter on one of my villages where that Nebraska incentive, if there's projects, I'm not sure how they even divide it out, but basically they're making the municipalities that collected the sales tax repay some of it back into that Nebraska incentive, because that's how they fund those projects. And you're repaying it a year later. So what you collected this past year that has to be used now to fund that LB 330, whatever it is, I can't remember.
it's the one for promoting businesses and,
Nebraska Incentive Act,
yeah,
then you pay that back in 21 in the fall then. And so I've had one that's gonna be like $80,000 I gotta pay back. And if it's more than 25% of your total sales tax, then they'll let you spread it over 12 months. Otherwise, they're gonna take it all out at the end there. But see, you gotta watch that. If you'll get a notification for your share if that happens.
I don't think we're involved in that particular portion of.
That would only be if you have a local sales tax.
We do.
We have a local sales tax, but I don't think we're in the development plan, that LB that you're talking about.
Okay. So I'm not
Well,
sure how
I'm not-
that, because the one I got it on wasn't in Dodge County, it was in.
There's a separate sales tax you can enact for business development. We've kicked that idea around and discussed it, but we've never moved forward with it.
No, this is just part of the state and local sales tax. I know
Okay.
that. It's not an addition. But anyway, yeah, if you got good sales tax dollars coming in, and hopefully that'll stay consistent for you, and you can use that to retire debt along with your highway allocation on the street side and not have to do a levy. Great.
Well, that was our biggest selling point about this building is not having to raise people's taxes to do it. So
You do it without a levy, that's great. Then you get on to page 8, and then there's your major funds for the utility side, and really it's a matter of just breaking your water and sewer out. I know most of your accounting has water and sewer together, but we really need it broke out. They're two major funds and they should be separated, and it is separable. I mean, the expenses and revenues are very clearly separate. So it's just a matter of getting your accounting system to do that, and not all, and it does for the most part. But it's getting everything to do it. So not just revenue and expenses, but even the cash. Tell me who owes who what, you know? We compute that, and I can tell you what that is at the end of the year, but that's the only time that we know. And, you know, so it's something that could be tracked on a regular basis. So like in this particular case, sewer really has no cash. It's all held in general, and sewer doesn't make any money. So basically, we either book a due to, due from, or we just have water transfer money to sewer. And, but again, I hate to record transfers unless the board approves it. So my objective is to record it as a due to, due from, and then say, board, there's this much in the due to, due from. Do you want the water? Just to give them that money. Then we'll record a transfer and get rid of the due to, due from. At least that's the theory. And so that's what this fund reflects. And you flip over to page 9, and you can see how those water sewer funds do. And actually, they seem to cash flow just fine as far as profit and loss wise. I mean, we are showing a surplus in both the water and the sewer fund. Combined about 94,000. A year ago, it was 67,000. So you know, we are showing that they do operate at a positive. You know, the cash flow side of it might get a little tighter because we have debt payments coming out of there. And so that page 10 gets into the cash flow. But when you get down to the end there, that's still a $42,000 surplus through those two funds, with sewer being 0 and water being at all. And then you get into the notes on page 12 through. They keep going on through. Page 18 is where your debt's at. And, you know, this is where I usually look to see what your interest rates are, what your maturity schedule looks like. Just try to see if there's any planning you can do with that. You got the pool bonds, you got the highway bonds, you got the utility bonds. So you're sitting on 3 different sets of bonds there. Sales tax one for $1,015,000. Of course, that was ones that just became due. You already did something with those. Okay. And then you get into the rest of the pages there. On page 20, I just want to point out on almost all our audits, or anytime we issue a financial statement this past, probably since September on, we've had a COVID-19 impact just because the uncertainty involved with COVID. It has some impact on almost every business. Even if it's a minor impact, it almost always has some impact on everybody. In your case, I mean, certainly it impacted your pool, your community room, some of the things. It certainly had some impact. And then you get into page 21 on through is the budget and actual statements. And yeah, I think for the most part, those are fine. I don't think we get enough detail in some areas of your budget. I just don't see the detail to break out some of the things. But for the most part, they were fine, and you can see the comparisons made in there. You'll know that in a lot of spots, there's an over budget, which is good. I'd much rather over budget something that might happen instead of not budget enough. So making sure you're over budgeting is a good thing. Keeps you from exceeding your budget, and you don't have that issue, which we have had before. And then you get to the last page is the Internal control and compliance report, and as I said before, there are no comments on that report this year. Here's that rep letter that I do need signed by the chair here.
We're going back to page 21. Really quick.
We can.
That variance with final budget. That's in parentheses, the 664,680.
Page 21, so your general fund, yep. Okay, so what that is up in the miscellaneous, we had $900,000 there of revenue, and we only actually took in 161. I'm not sure what was getting budgeted there for sure, but that revenue ended up showing up in the street fund instead of here. And so,
Would that have been the bond for the construction that showed up in there, and we've still got some money in there we need to clean out of the construction account?
correct, that's probably it. And so it was budgeted, but just this wasn't the year we got it. We got it last year, if I recall. So that's why there's a big variance on that one. You're gonna see a couple other big variances. Now, and it's, it's either, those type of things. So like over on page 22, actually, we have the big miscellaneous bond there, and what that was budgeted for and was received, so that matched along with the capital outlay down below on page 22, which would be the street fund. Then there's a big variance on the debt service fund. I think we budgeted for $1 million payment out, but that didn't happen yet. That'll happen, and so we have a big difference there. But being the ones over in the general fund, the ones here, and the big variances go the opposite ways, they offset each other and really create a non-issue.
Yeah, I think by this time next year, all that stuff will be
Cleaned
cleaned
out.
up, and we'll be making payments that we budgeted, and there won't be the other amounts in there.
Good, good. Hey, Nikki, did Stephen give you the journal entries? Or does Allison put those in?
Allison does.
She's probably- I bet he did.
Sign that letter.
Yeah, we do need that letter up there signed.
So we need a motion to approve the audit report as presented then.
I'll make a motion to accept the audit from Erickson and Brooks as presented.
Nikki, we have a motion and a second to approve the audit report as presented. There's no further discussion. James, is there anything else you want to talk about on the audit? Okay.
I'm sure you wanted to hear all that. didn't you? You wanted that full report.
It's like, I'm the water guy. There's something out of here.
If there's no further discussion, let's vote on that motion, please.
Scott McCorney,
Aye.
Gordon McGee.
Aye.
Jason
Aye.
Weaver. Travis. Paul Strauss.
Aye. Thank you for your time.
If you wanted to read through them, Paul, you can and get it to me tomorrow, or if you want to just sign it,
Yep,
I'll take it with me now.
it just needs to be myself and Nikki.
Yep.
Okay. I've already read through this earlier today. We had this copy earlier, so.
And then I'll make the bound copies of this. I assume the 6, just as we brought here, that would be sufficient. And then we typically will send the one to the state auditor via their
You
online
need the rest of it?
posting. We'll be all in compliance.
Just the 2 pages, right?
Yeah, she did front and back. I say it's longer than that usually, but she did front and back, save the paper. Very good, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Okay, item B, discussion and possible first reading of ordinance 667 to amend violation penalty.
What was it before? Because I know you said we were losing money on the actual words.
Well, I don't know that
We didn't plug in new amounts yet.
plugged in these amounts
This is what the current is, 100, 200, 500.
in violation of any provisions of the Arlington Municipal Code. So we've had remember we did a specific parking or class 3. So this will at least help us recover some of the expense if we have to have
The
notices delivered.
Sorry, the underlined part is what Tim drafted to add to it.
Oh, there, that's why we're losing the money, is that part of it?
Yeah,
Because it's not good. to give
service
it to
of
get-
process, which would include our attorney fees.
Yeah,
So will the courthouse know to add that, or how are we gonna make that happen then?
He would file that,
With,
our attorney would.
okay. All right. Wonder if that makes them a little more streamlined in their charging fees process, I don't know. So yeah, like before, the $100 wouldn't have covered our legal
the
fees,
fees, yeah.
but if we
This-
would add,
So you're saying legal fees
If
and
we had
this
our
is the
attorney
fine and this is the attorney. fees.
yes,
Yep, makes sense to me.
then we should at least come out $100 ahead
That's the goal,
instead of $100 in the hole.
right?
At least.
Does anybody know what the typical misdemeanor charge is for other cities? The muni code, type it into Fremont or Blair, or I don't know.
We certainly don't have to vote on this today. If you'd be more comfortable.
Well, I'm just curious.
No, I'm,
We weren't looking at changing the amounts, we just wanted to add that other part, right?
right.
Yeah, well, I'm fine with that, that's whatever.
But if somebody wants to take the time and compare, I guess we can do that. Just this seems pretty easy to recover our costs. I mean, that's all we really want,
Not to lose money
right?
for giving someone a ticket.
We have violation penalties in 11 spots in our code.
This would amend all of them.
It does.
In violation of any provisions of the Arlington Municipal Code shall, upon conviction, be fined 100, 200, and 500 plus cost. So really, the only change is the addition of the underlined portion to the first paragraph, which makes,
Nikki, can we do that, add it to this one section? So 4.28, we're adding the paragraph there that specifies the additional fees, but yet we've got different sections, 6.16, 8.04 that won't say that. How does that cross-reference back to applying to all of them?
I'll have to do it manually, but I mean, our penalty is the same in all of those. And
Okay.
so if you amend the penalty, because like Paul said, it says if you violate any of the,
provisions of the municipal code.
it's just restated at the end of all of the sections.
Okay.
You guys want to research this more or vote on it today? Have our first reading today or research it, I guess should be what
Well, I think it'd probably be all right, huh?
I think if we have with other readings to do during that time.
Or pass here, read the whole.
you ever read the first paragraph. The new one. So the first paragraph would be, we've got several paragraphs in here. I'm not sure which one is really the first paragraph.
So it's before the amendment, so you would want to read the
After the amendment paragraph.
Yeah, you wouldn't need to read it before.
So read from here to here after amendment.
All right, I move for the introduction of the first reading and passage of ordinance.
Yep.
667. Which reads, after the amendment, the 4.28-010 violation penalty. Any person, firm, association, or corporation in violation of any provisions of the Arlington Municipal Code shall, upon conviction, be deemed guilty of a misdemeanor and be fined $100 for a first offense, $200 for the second offense, and $500 for the third, or for any third and subsequent offense. Each 24-hour maintenance and continuing violation of such provisions of the code shall constitute a separate offense. Additionally, any person, firm, association, or a corporation in violation of any provisions of the Arlington Municipal Code shall, upon conviction, also be required to pay for any costs incurred by the village in connection with the citation and enforcement of any misdemeanors. Such costs shall include, but are not necessarily limited to, service of process and publication.
Second.
Nikki, we have a motion and a second for the first reading and of ordinance 667. Is there any further discussion? If not, let's vote on that motion.
Gordon McGee,
Aye.
Jason Lacy,
Aye.
Travis Kramer,
Aye.
Scott McCorney,
Aye.
Paul Charles.
Aye. Item C, discussion of possible approval of quote for the purpose of purchase of laptops. And we had $10,000 budgeted for this. Is that what we?
Yes. 9,000. 1,000 for the pool, so a total of.
And that would be 5, 6, 7 with John and 8 with the pool. Okay. That's where we come up with the number 8. So can you go over this sheet? Tell us
Yes, so.
what we're looking at.
I contacted HP, which, that's who the state works with to get a discount on these products. And they work with a third party, and this is the third party who sent this quote to us. So these 3 laptops, all 3 meet the minimum specifications that Sean gave me that we should be looking for in a laptop. Namely the 16 gigabytes of RAM I think was the main one that he thought we should look for. So I crossed out the two that were over budget or didn't have that 16 gigabytes, neither one of them did. So the difference between these is basically the availability, how long it'll take us to get them, aside from the price, that's the biggest difference. Now, we talked earlier about having a number keypad. I didn't realize that that would be a desired function for you guys. So if you want to wait until I can figure out if one of these has that, or if you want a quote that has laptops that have the keypad.
Well, can we look up that the one that's currently in stock, is that the model number, the U22N9E? Or no, that's the support.
440G ProBook.
Yeah,
Just trying to look these up before. the
440 G7. Looks like
wonder if that number.
What's this saying they are a piece? 941 is a pretty good price. The one I found was 1,169. It does not have a 10 key.
Well, if it's anything like buying tires through the government,
It's impossible to compare.
it's gonna be the best price we
Yeah,
can
that's a
get.
good price.
I mean, we can't even
Yeah.
sell tires for we can't even buy tires for what the government pays us for them. We get an actual check back from the government.
Got your tape measure on me? What are these? These 14? Oh, there you go. These might have got to be 15. I would say that's 3 inches at least.
I doubt these have 10 keys, most laptops.
Can you see? It
It
doesn't.
doesn't, no, it doesn't, no, it does
Is
not.
that a deal breaker for you?
No, that's okay. I'd still like to have a 15-inch monitor though, rather than a 14-inch. That's all it says.
And these are 14s?
No, these are 15s. These are over 15 probably, because
15s.
this is 11-inch piece of paper. That's probably 4 inches there at least.
Mhm.
I went with something smaller than this, would you?
No.
I'm not the only one who's gonna use them. You guys speak up. I'm okay with being.
I'm having trouble telling.
I'm not Mark. I'm not gonna be mad if you guys outvote me. That's okay.
I'm not a computer
Well,
expert, so I don't know.
I'm having trouble telling the difference between commas and periods here lately, so a smaller monitor isn't gonna help me any.
Figure out why that machine's more expensive.
Yeah, why do you think that is, Nikki?
Because the monitor part of it would be anything more to it than, I don't see anything in there that it's faster gigabyte wise or
What's the first one?
Intel Core i5 for both of them. Actually, the top one's 11th generation. The top one and the bottom one.
Oh,
This very
top,
top
bottom.
one versus very bottom.
Yep. 10.
Are you seeing anything?
The bottom one is
16
actually,
gigabyte quad core.
so the bottom one is the only one that says 10th generation processor.
Yeah. Instead of the 11th.
So I think we should rule that one out anyway. You're already a year from being obsolete.
Maybe the reason it's more expensive is because it's actually available. I don't know.
That's probably why it's available. Nobody wants it anymore.
Couldn't very well be.
It's the 2018 model.
Are you seeing anything else on there different? Other than that, it's
6 gigahertz processor. I don't see a processor up here. Processor speed, latest generation, but I don't see like the second one down is a 2.4 gigahertz.
450 G8. It's probably got.
256 to 512 gigabytes.
I'll look that one up.
Second one is.
I wonder if we really have to wait 12 to 16 weeks. I find that hard to believe.
So the second one down has 512 GB. That's gigabytes, right? What's SSD?
Solid state hard drive,
Okay.
no moving parts.
Which is
that
what we
one
want.
seems-
So when you drop it, it doesn't
Yeah,
stop working for you.
second one seems to be.
Pretty standard anymore.
That's an HP 250.
These come with a Microsoft Office package on them, so we can have like Excel, and everything.
They said everything does now.
Okay,
Well, don't we have Office 365 or
It's a
whatever?
graphics card.
3 of us do.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And we
Well, I can
add
get-
it for everybody.
I could add it from my school
Yeah.
because I can get it free on any machine that I use. So I could add it, so we'd be license wise, okay?
We're thinking the second one, is that right?
It sure seems like the better deal to me.
4 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, see, that one has a 10 key.
And that's the second.
Bottom one does?
HP 250 G7, right? Oh, that's a G8. Well, I wonder why I pulled up G7. I typed, oh, because I typed in G7, that's why. No, I did type in G8. That's not even finding those on here.
Let me see. If I put that number in.
That one, okay, HP 250 G8 notebook PC, is that what it says? HP 250 G8 15.6. 11th generation, right? Well, see, now that one doesn't that look like, that's got the 10 key there.
Oh, the first one I pulled up says no image available.
Oh. Did you look at it at all or no?
I'm trying to get it pulled up,
Oh, see what Best Buy has?
just the number.
Oh, gotcha.
Come on.
Thinking these are gonna have.
That looks like a 10 key, doesn't it?
Oh, it does.
10 key with an enter bar down there?
Yeah, here you can clearly see it.
Uh-huh.
HP 250 G8, let me see that shit one more time. I'm on the HP website and I typed in that
250 G8 i5.
I don't think so.
i5. Intel 11th generation.
So the part number 2V8H9UT, number ABA.
Yep. Oh, and then that one does not.
It does not.
Or does it?
I don't know the one I saw.
Like this one is clearly separated, but I don't, that seems like there's too many keys to, what else would that be over there?
I think it's just the keyboard.
This one definitely has a 10 key.
Yeah, I think
I
that's 10
think it
key.
does.
I think that's 10 key right here.
Yeah, this one does.
Space.
If you Google the number that,
Look at the wide 0 key on the bottom.
Yeah,
And then the delete is next to it. And then you've got an enter bar that's going up and down just like these ones. I think it is.
I think it is, yeah.
Should we make approval for that one?
For price wise.
Jason's view.
That's cheaper than the,
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
It's got it.
yeah, 761. Let's make that happen.
and then so the support that goes with that one would be the U22N9E. Is that important that we get that with it, do you think, Nikki?
is completely up to you. I asked him to break it out separately and then you guys could decide if that's something you want.
3-year next business day on-site support with ADP.
Do you know what that involves? If it's physical damage as well as,
It says on-site
They didn't
support.
send
To me,
any-
that sounds like they're answering questions over a phone, isn't it?
Yeah, that's,
I think that's what we pay Sean for, probably.
I think so too. I wouldn't say we need that probably. Not like it was a warranty that said like you drop.
what if we make the approval to buy the equipment and to consult with Sean whether we need that or not? Because that another $1,000, that still puts us under budget if we get it. We would be at 6,088 for the computers and 1,000 for the support.
Oh, ADP. Oh, that's the number. On-site support with ADP.
So I would say if we make the motion to approve the purchase of the computers and the purchase of the 3-year next business day support pending approval of our IT consultant. And then we let Sean make that decision. If that's something we're already paying for, he'll tell us. And he'll say, don't waste the money.
I make the motion to purchase
8.
HP 250 or 8 HP 250 G8 15.6 notebooks at the price of $761 per machine, 8 of them at $6,088. With consulting on the 3-year next business day on-site support at the amount of $129 per machine at 8 machines, $1,032.
Pending approval by our IT consultants.
Yep.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second.
That's actually the machine that we have at school. That's a pretty good
Is it?
machine.
Cool.
For the purchase of 8 HP 250 G8 15.6 inch notebooks and 3-year on-site support. If there's no further discussion, let's vote on that motion.
Jason Lacy.
Aye.
Travis Kramer.
Aye.
Scott McCormick.
Aye.
Gordon McGee.
Aye.
Jeff Krause.
Aye. All right, I forgot about Dave. Dave, I apologize. I forgot to move down here to you.
No problem whatsoever.
Let's go to item F. Why don't you go ahead and explain to us what we're looking at there, Dave?
Sure, I'll start it off. My name's Dave from G-Works, by the way. Thanks for letting me to sit in on the meeting tonight. We're out of Omaha. We provide a true fund accounting and utility billing system for small cities. We have about 1,000 clients, all located in the Midwest, within about a 6-state region. Some of the clients in your area would include Fremont, Blair, Fort Calhoun, Valley, Cedar Bluffs, Scribner, and Snyder. So quite a few clients surrounding you there. We also set up yearly user groups as well. COVID's been a little bit of an issue there, but we're trying to keep those going again, where we can set up user groups, and we also have ways of communicating with one another. So Nikki would be able to speak to any client that she'd like to as well. What the difference is, I think I've been working with Nikki now for about 6 months, since August. The one thing I think would be the biggest benefit to you guys for your fund accounting and utility billing software is that it would be one centralized system, and that encompasses the accounts payable, bank reconciliation, general ledger, payroll, and utility billing all in one system. I believe you guys are using 2 now with Power Manager and Sage. So I think the main keys there, are just, there's a lot of repeated and wasted steps, and that I think we can really save Nikki some time. Number one thing, I think we're going to be able to gain some efficiencies there, eliminating things like duplicate entry and those types of things, but also just reporting out of one central system. Listening to the audit report, I was nodding my head a few times where I know we can definitely help you with when they mentioned, kind of the new process where maybe Nikki would review the information, send the bank reconciliation to the accounting firm, and then initial and date that. Those are the types of things that our bank reconciliation, we can help manage that. We can manage your general fund, street fund, water and sewer. I think you mentioned a bond fund as well. If you wanted to separate out the water and sewer funds like he was talking about, that can very easily be done within the system. So it's very flexible there. I think you said to manage the 2 checking accounts for the general and then the utilities. Not a problem there at all. Multiple accounts as far as that goes. It just, I think, helps you better manage your cash balances. It's just a little bit about us. Did you guys have any questions as far as just how the software would work for the village?
I'm just looking at, I'm missing something on the cost savings. We've got a price of $8,000 for the simple fund accounting utility. Is that right, Nikki? Or would we be looking at that plan?
So there's a price for the setup and then there's a price for the annual charge for each of these things. For the general account, for the utility account, and for the timekeeping. Is that right, Dave?
Yes, if we include the timekeeping, which is what we call payroll, time and attendance, eliminates the manual time cards and the spreadsheets and those types of things, allows people to manage their own time cards. If we were to manage that, then yeah, I believe the annual recurring piece would be about 6,100. I think that's less than what you guys are paying for Power Manager and Sage now. So yeah, so the recurring piece would be about 6,150. The rest would be the one-time setup, training, installation, implementation fees.
It actually is more each year, but the cost savings would be that we wouldn't need to hire another deputy clerk. I would be able to.
I'm seeing where the numbers are coming from now. That 6,150, I didn't see her there, so. And are we contracted with any Power Manager or Sage right now?
Well, we just approved the payment for Sage, which we could cancel that.
So the problem is they're opposite times that we pay those, so we'll be doubling up on them regardless, but we have to run these systems side by side for a little while anyway to make sure that they're working before we abandon the old systems. So there'll be overlap regardless of what we do. In talking with Allison, doing this before summer hits, instead of trying to do it at the end of the year when we're trying to close out all the accounts and balance everything, she said that would be really, really difficult to do. But if we can get everything online before the pool opens, when we have all of those extra employees, and I mean, that's when a lot of this time saving will happen, is when we have all of those extra employees.
Well, it sounds like a lot of area the communities have it. It'd create a good user group for you. Kind of like David said, they set those up, so.
What's our cost on Power Manager each year?
2,254.
What's that?
2,254 per year.
54. And do we know, did our deputy clerk just do the things in here? If we're using her, not replacing a deputy clerk as a justification on her salary, is that all she did?
No, there was
So the utility
there was the auditorium.
So this essentially would take the utility billing and put it into the other accounting system.
She
So it
did
flows.
utility billing, she also did the, like reconciling the pool deposits and stuff like that, were things that Paige did. We weren't really doing much with the auditorium when she was here because of COVID, so yes.
Will
To
this
answer
help?
your question, yes, these were things that Paige was.
But this consumed all of her time. Is what I'm getting at is making sure it's a true cost saving,
Yes.
saying we would free up that's 100% replacement. We got everything covered here.
The only other thing that she was doing would have been the nuisance property stuff. But otherwise it was utility billing and pool.
Daily reconciliations on that.
Dave, you guys don't come around and look for nuisance properties, do you?
I'm from Valley, so my whole community has been a nuisance, but yeah.
I'm just trying to see if there's any icing you could put on.
Hey, we'll pay 2,400 a year for it, probably.
You're right.
Nobody wants
Right.
that job.
Hey, there you go. You can add that to your guys' repertoire.
And I'll echo what Nikki said as well. The timing's ideal. We could probably go back and enter in some of the information from January so we can get a full calendar year in there. And then by then, as Nikki said, we'll run the two programs side by side for about a period of 30 days just to make that one run, to make sure everything's calculating right, set up the right way. And then we'll be able to go full bore with our system. So
So the 1,840 would be all the setup fees, 18,400.
correct. Yep.
one-time charges.
Just the
And we
one
could-
time. Yep.
And we could split that over 2 years. So really, we'd only have to find 9,200 this year that we didn't budget for.
Correct. What we've done, our CEO here at G Works, just because of COVID, and it sounds like you guys' tax revenue has been pretty consistent, and that's great to hear. What we have done is just offered, this will be the last one where we're offering a 2-year period for the service component. So you can break that out by any way you'd like. It's usually kind of a 50-50 split where this fiscal year you can pay, say, half, and then the next fiscal year you can pay for the other half. So,
Nikki, what do you think is gonna happen with Sage after 60 days from now? Can we get some of that back, or are they gonna say that's a yearly?
Or are you gonna have to use it for the rest of the year anyways?
No, he said
No,
30
we'll only have
days.
to use it for 30 days once we get this online, but it'll take some time also to get it online. I honestly don't know if Sage will refund or not. And
Gotcha.
like I said, we are going to eat, I would rather, I mean, Sage is less than Power Manager, and we'll eat one of them, so.
it would be good to have just too for potentially a reference, or if you want to refer back, say, in some of the software, if you needed to reference it in some way or collect some sort of a report until ours is up and running too. Might be nice to have, until it expires. But typically after that 30 days, it's pretty much not necessary anymore.
Are there additional fees we should be expecting down the road for upgrades or anything like that might come up, or is that built into the $61.50 a year?
Yep, that's built into the $61.50 a year. Little story behind that. So my CEO here at G Works is a military intelligence officer, or a former military intelligence officer. He purchased software that he needed and found out later that the yearly recurring revenue increased by almost 30%, and he never forgot that. So no, he's insistent pretty much on no additional fees as far as those go. So there will be no alarming expenses after that. I've been the last 2 years, there's never been any increases. So
Okay.
Well, last time there was an increase, we're talking 10%, 3%.
our average, if there is going to be one, he tries to keep it around 1.5% to 2%. So
Thank you.
again, our focus is really around the smaller cities. So the mid to large, we don't spend a lot of time with. And so we're trying to be cognizant of that and keep it affordable for everybody.
This is what you want, right?
Well, Allison also uses this and really likes it.
Perfect. That's all I needed to hear right there. I'll make a motion to accept the bid from G Works for the accounting software.
Second.
As presented.
As presented.
Do we want to split it over 2 years, or do we just want to get that out of the way, take it out of sales tax? There's going to be some issues with the utility part of it. We can't just take out of sales tax, but
Agreed. Let's do the 2 year. They're giving us that opportunity.
Yeah, give us some time.
I guess if we change our mind, we could.
I bet you're not going to complain if we pay early, are you, Dave?
No, I certainly won't do that. But however it works out for you guys, it's not a problem.
Okay, as presented with setup fees split over 2 years.
And this
We have
was,
a motion. Go ahead.
and was this budgeted?
So we're gonna have to find that come out of
Sales tax.
sales tax, or we can't just add to the utility portion of it. We'll have to talk with Rick how we move the budget numbers around for that. But
And Allison did check with me already to make sure that was going to be.
Sure, that's feasible. We can amend the budget whenever.
Do we have the deputy clerk's wages in the budget?
we do have them in the budget that we're not spending, so.
That would be more.
Yeah, and half our salary came out of utilities, so we should be all right.
There you go. All right.
Thank you, Dave.
You bet. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Have a good evening.
You too. If there's no further discussion, let's vote on that motion.
Aye.
Scott Pulcarni,
Aye.
Jordan McGee,
Aye.
Jason
Aye.
Lucy, Paul Kraus.
Aye.
Now you gotta promise to stay here for a while. I almost want that in written.
Yeah,
I'm just teasing you.
Why you will?
Not really.
Item D, discussion and possible approval of closing out construction account. We had talked about paying off some of these other bonds and stuff early out of our sales tax. I think we should have a more in-depth discussion on what and where next month. So at this point, I think the only thing we really should concentrate on is that amount. And was that amount in the packet, or can you give us that amount? I didn't see it in the packet. I've got it in an email. And I can find it in the bank balances if I look far enough. It's the construction account fund. When we got the bond for the construction of this building, they just put that money into an account at the bank and we called it the construction fund. And after we paid all of our bills and the construction, unfortunately, the construction interest came out of there.
The account balance after the interest payment is $166,753.17.
$753.17. Okay. So my recommendation is that we clean this account out and apply that to our USDA loan for the purchase of this building. And then next month, I think we should have a discussion about the rest of our sales tax monies and how much we want to keep in reserve and whether or not we can pay off any of our debts a little early. So.
753.17.
Yep.
I make a motion to close out the construction account and transfer the $166,753.17 to be applied to our USDA loan for the village hall.
Second.
I think you have a motion and a second to approve the payment of the remaining construction funds to our USDA loan. If there's no further discussion, let's vote on that motion.
Scott McCorney,
Aye.
Gordon McGee,
Aye.
Jason
Aye.
Weasel, Travis Kramer,
Aye.
Paul Crumbs.
Aye. Item E, discussion and possible approval of having OPPT install a larger power pole in front of the auditorium. My understanding is this no cost to us. We just need to make an approval as a formality, or
I don't even know that you need to vote on it. He just wanted to make sure that nobody was opposed to
I
it.
didn't think we really had any choice in.
Technically, we don't, but they just like to make sure that they're not.
Okay.
Great.
Friendly.
Item G.
Item G, Washington County permit report. Did anybody have any questions there? If not, we'll move on to Washington County Sheriff's report. I see we've got Mike on Zoom. Mike, how are you doing today?
Living the dream.
Does anybody have anything for Mike on the sheriff's report?
Anything, Scott?
No, I mean, your weekly reports are nice to review and keeps us up to date with everything.
I appreciate that. If one thing, if you want to go ahead and schedule a quarterly meeting, why don't we set the date?
All right.
You're gonna have in your meetings? Sheriff Robinson, who was supposed to come to the village meetings that we were gonna start to do? The ones where they would meet with the nuisance officer and with Nikki.
Are we gonna do that monthly?
Do you remember Nikki?
We met.
We met once.
Once.
Do you think that's beneficial, Mike, or,
I do think it's beneficial.
okay?
You want to just incorporate it with one of those meetings?
I can actually. I just gotta figure out well, I want to work for him probably.
Oh, this
what do
time of
you-
year I can probably sneak out whenever.
Nikki, do you want to do this quarterly or you want to do this monthly?
Well, it's up to you. I thought we kind of felt like we didn't maybe need to meet as frequently as we thought we would need to, but
You want to go every other month?
sounds reasonable.
Do we want to have that be the same time as the quarterly meeting or? I can go from like 10:30 to 11 o'clock. Pretty much any day.
Works for us.
Can you make that one?
Yeah, I can sneak away.
I mean, if it doesn't work for you, Scott, I don't want to do it then.
No, it's only quarterly, so it's no big deal.
If you did it on Mondays, I could sit in on any time, but I don't really want to, I mean, that should be your deal if you can make it, but
I'd rather do it midweek.
Midweek.
Mondays and Fridays aren't good load wise.
Wednesday's good for you?
Sure.
Okay. You pick the Wednesday. Not this Wednesday though.
You want to do it in January or February?
February's fine. Or if we go January, then it'd be January and then it would be to do the quarter. It's up to you.
that would be
Oh,
day
I
after
think you could
tomorrow.
be there,
That would
that'd
be
be
day
three of
after
us.
tomorrow.
That'd be three of us.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the calendar is all. I'm not
Yeah.
planning on attending.
They don't have to be a Wednesday either, whatever, what works best for you, Sheriff.
26th is a bad day for me. 27th, I have to be in Fremont at 1, and I'll be there about an hour.
I
But
don't see our
otherwise-
meeting lasting more than a half hour. Do you, Sheriff?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so. Do you?
No.
10:30 on Wednesday?
I can go the 27th, you said?
Yeah,
That might not work. Does that work okay for you if your meeting's at 1 in Fremont though?
yeah, that should be a problem.
All right, so the 27th, what time?
10:30,
10:30?
10:35, I might be here.
All
Class gets
right.
done at well, class is done at like 10:29. It might take me 2 minutes to get down here.
All right, well, pencil that in.
Is that okay, Sheriff? We'll go with the 27th at 10:30?
Yep, I'm putting it in my phone right now.
Sounds good.
Any concerns you've seen that we should be worried about, Mike?
No, I haven't heard anything from the guys. How did the snow removal go last Friday? Were there any issues?
I didn't hear any complaints. I haven't talked to John really since then about snow routes. John, did we have any issues with parking?
No, Paul, we did not.
Okay.
It worked out well.
Great, that's good to hear for a change.
Yep, it was good, Mike. Thank you.
You bet. Otherwise, I don't have anything else, guys.
That's all I've got. If anybody comes up with anything before Wednesday, be sure and get it to our committee members or email it to Mike, Nikki. So if nobody has anything else for Mike, we'll let him go.
Thanks,
Oh,
guys.
thank
Have a
you.
good night.
Yep.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. Okay, library report. I didn't see anything that I thought was out of the
Looked like
normal.
they were getting going on the circulation desk. I had talked to Sheila not too long ago and she had said that the 3 contractors were getting together to get it all worked out, so I haven't heard of anything else.
Anybody have any questions there? If not, let's move on.
Streets, you and I,
Let's get to James. He's been waiting patiently.
there we go.
You're almost there.
All right, it's only gonna take us a minute to get through committee reports anyway. Let's see. Yeah, streets, we really didn't have anything. Snow removal seems to be going well. Parks, Travis, and I'll cross that out and put Gordon in there.
It's official now.
Did you guys have anything? Do you guys have a recommendation yet for the request for doggy bag drops or?
Did we come up with a decision on that? We talked about it, but
Yeah, so there are numerous trash cans in the parks and downtown and stuff, but I think it's probably reasonable to have one on the trail. There's a park bench on the north side, so maybe with, John's review of what it would, it's not gonna add a bunch of work for him to.
And is this on the walking trail down by the ball fields?
Yes.
Or, okay, didn't he comment about the one up by the water tower as well, that park up there? Is that Veterans Park?
He did, Paul.
Yeah,
He did comment about that. I don't feel it necessary up there, just because that's not really there's no sidewalks up there to walk on or anything like that. I see it maybe on the walking path, just because, there is issues with people either taking their bag that they're carrying with them and just throwing it or whatever, that would be my recommendation, but whatever you guys think.
I've been asked before about waste bag stations, and I just wonder if that's gonna cause more debris and stuff blown around. I think most responsible dog owners can bring a bag with them. And I don't really feel like, in my opinion, I don't know, that seems kind of silly to squabble about that as an expense, but I think it's just gonna cause us more issues than
More hassle.
I would rather place waste baskets that people can use. John, do you want to give us an idea on what it would cost to put a couple more trash cans in the trail, and then maybe we'll talk about where to put them next month?
Yep, will do.
Sounds good. Let's see, cemetery, Mark and Gordon and Scott, do you guys have anything?
Not really. We're still thinking of ideas to honor Mr. Ganuzzi for his time, and we'll probably get with John, get his thoughts too. We thought of everything from maybe a bench or some landscaping or trees or, something like that, but we got where it'd be nice. We'll have to go out there when it's nice out and kind of just review, or if there's something in conjunction with the Veterans Memorial out there, if they want a little extra something there, just something.
I don't know if you guys have heard, but we did get some memorial money in for that from private citizens. I think it would be good for the village to match those funds maybe. If we want to discuss that out of sales tax, I think. Yeah, whatever we decide we want to do, we could probably match some funds there.
For Mr. Ganuzzi or for the veterans?
For Ganuzzi, for his specific memorial, and we've already got some budgeted amount for the veterans memorial. But yeah.
Yeah, maybe Gordon, myself, and maybe even John, or we can meet out there someday on a nice day coming up and the weather's nice, and just kind of brainstorm out there too.
Sounds good.
Yep, let me know, Scott.
All right.
Water and sewer, Travis and I have a quarterly meeting set up for a week from Monday, or a week from today. So
Oh, just James, or do you get it?
James and Dwayne. So we'll go over some of our goals that we've been working on. See where we're at. Police, you guys just set up your meeting. Anything else you guys have?
Nope, no.
Okay, James, let's get to you.
All right.
Item K.
The only thing I really have, I know I've talked to you guys about it before. We've got a pretty bad infiltration problem down at the northeast corner of the Gott tradition. I've had people look at it. Nobody's been able to, they said they can't fix it. Kelly from Thompson's is gonna come out tomorrow at 1 and look at it. Hopefully it's something that they can fix.
James, northeast or northwest?
It's northeast where it runs into the field, isn't
Right
it?
by the field there.
Okay,
It's
so there.
Yeah, now Buck had told me, because I've had Buck out here to camera it before. Just the push camera, it doesn't have a very good, not very good view on it. So I can't tell exactly what's leaking. It looks to me like it's leaking in a seam. Now, he said when he was the operator, he had that rehab, that manhole rehab, because there was a lot of water coming in that. Well, now it's just found its way in from a different place.
Further down the line.
I've gotten down in there with a little sample jar. I've taken a sample of the water. There's no chlorine in it. So I'm guessing that it's not a leak. It's not water. It's got to be some kind of natural water source that's getting down there. I don't know where it's coming from, but that would be my guess. Is it's a natural water source. So I don't know if they'll be able to, I talked to Trek. Trek doesn't do anything as far as fixing anything. Another guy had out Kildo Construction. He said that they usually will drill a hole and then they'll squirt it full, but he said it's too far in there. He can't do anything. So hopefully Thompson's can do something about it. I don't know if they'll have to dig down and fix it from the outside, or if there's a way that they can put a patch in and fix it from the inside.
Okay.
But it's something that we definitely need to get fixed because there is infiltration 24 hours a day. And it sounds like
Those are the kinds of ones we'd like to find and fix.
it's something that definitely needs fixed.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's something that you just want me to get. Do you want me to just get a quote on it and we'll worry about it next?
If you've got them out there, get whatever you can from them. Hopefully, if you can get them out here this week, we'll have something to talk about at our quarterly meeting and then
Okay.
we can make an approval on our next month regular meeting, hopefully.
Okay. Sounds good. The other thing is, when you called me, about the gentleman that was having his sewer backup, it ended up just being his service line that was backed up. But when I was pulling manhole covers, manhole down by, it'd be 6th and the highway, down by the gas station. We have pans and most of the ones on the highway. It was full of like gravel patch. So I don't even know how that got in there, but I cleaned all that out. When I opened that pan, there was a bunch of stuff in the bottom of the manhole itself. So that's, I don't remember what day it was, but the truck was out here. They sucked all that out. They jetted both ways because that's actually a collection point before it goes across the highway. So it comes into that manhole from both directions. So we did jet both directions. It's running great now. We have no problems there.
So we send that bill to the state?
Yeah, the bad thing, I don't know where all that patch came from. John says it wasn't them, so I'm guessing it was probably the state, but. And then while I was doing that, I opened up, it'd be the next one down by the car wash. There was infiltration there that was coming in from around the ring. Not from on top of the street, so I don't know how it's getting in there, but I did use, John and Tyler gave me some expanding concrete. And I put that up in there and so right now that infiltration is stopped. Once most of the water's gone, I'll go back and maybe fix it a little bit better than what it is. Sometime down the road, if that doesn't hold, I might have to
Have that one rehabbed.
get that one rehabbed too.
Well, thanks for making an effort on those.
Yeah, great job. Great find.
Yes. I like the proactive approach that you've
Well,
got.
I know that's a huge issue, so I'm trying to do my best to fix that.
That's our major expense, so.
New guy question.
Yep.
If that infiltration is of such a level that's costing the amount that you mentioned earlier, is that something that we can address before the next meeting? Or is that something we have to wait until we're into?
It depends on what that's gonna be. If it's a $10,000 project to dig something up, I think we probably ought to have board approval. If it's a minor repair, we can probably, if it's something that we can find money in our budget for, we can probably go ahead and approve that. But I'm expecting it'll be something that we're gonna have to sit down and discuss as a board.
Okay.
No. Right. I was having trouble reading not sure where it went. Since we're starting out a new year, I'm looking at, there's not much data yet on how we've been doing. But it didn't look like last year we were sending much less water to Fremont than the year before.
Yeah, I don't think
We have a,
too many of
yeah,
the issues. I know the manhole that we fixed, they did come out and rehab the one that was down by John's house.
mhm,
And we actually fixed, what do they call it? The lid was off, so there was water getting in there. So I'm sure that had to reduce some infiltration. And that's all sealed up now. I do have to order a pan for that one still because it is kind of in a collection area of where water drains off of houses. So.
okay. All right, does anybody have anything else for James? If not, thank you for sitting through that really exciting financial audit. And
Yeah, this is 1819. I don't know if you realize that, James, for January, December.
Well, my report is always a month behind. So this report is actually December's numbers.
Well, this is the year 2018 and 2019.
so, yeah, they need to get something going here.
Well, that is because I usually send it, I do my paperwork and then Joyce is the one that updates it. I didn't get, sent over, so I just printed the report, so that might have something to do with it. I just printed what I had.
Gotcha. Yeah. I just didn't know. I figured you probably printed the wrong one or something. I didn't know.
All right, well, yeah, let's sit down next Monday and set some goals, and hopefully you've got some information on repairing that manhole down there by then.
I think that will make a huge difference once that's fixed.
I'd love to find something that does.
I think I'll be able to see that immediately.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the ones I'm looking for. That's the ones I'm
Yeah, I'd
crossing my
like to see
fingers.
that. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. That's $6,000, $8,000, $10,000, $12,000 a month for sending wastewater over just, yeah. I'd love to get those bills down. Okay. All right, thank you, James.
Thank you.
Have a good week.
You too, thanks.
All right, item L, John. Item A, discussion regarding bathroom renovations. We had some talk in our planning about whether or not we move forward with the renovations. What do you guys think? Should we at least have John get some estimates?
I think my first step is probably trying to figure out what direction we want to go. I don't know if that means meeting with the Parks Committee and seeing if they have any ideas, or, I have my own ideas, but I would like some input from Travis and is it Gordon now? I do believe.
Yes.
Yep. I would like to meet sometime, Travis and Gordon, if that would be all right with you guys. And just to see if you guys have any ideas on that bathroom.
Sounds good.
We can set up a date. We don't have to do it tonight, but I can get a hold of both of you. I don't have Gordon's number, but I can get it from Nikki. So, and maybe we can figure something out.
Yeah,
Sounds good. Item B, discussion and approval of the culvert bid. This is on Memory Lane, right?
Correct.
This is the culvert behind the road that goes behind Casey's.
Correct. There's two culverts right almost directly behind Casey's, kind of just to the east of that. And the other one would be at the end of 6th Street. I could only get two estimates. I tried getting another one from another contractor, but he never returned my calls. So that's why I only have 2. I know generally we do 3, but with the one from Mike Griefy, you will notice that he does have demo of and haul off of trees. There are a significant amount of trees at the 2 behind Casey's that will need to come out for him to perform the work. I did tell Camden to give me a price on that as well. He didn't even come over and look at it, so he never gave me a price on that. But I think it's self-explanatory what's going to happen anyway. So
Can you tell me why John's got 2 and then 3 on there?
I don't know, Paul.
We need
I have
3
no idea.
done.
We need 3 done. I told
Okay.
him 3 to begin with. He gave me a price on 2 and 3. I don't know why he did that.
Okay.
But I would suggest getting the trees demoed as well, because they're a problem for garbage trucks and everything else too.
What are we looking at here? Looking at the map here. So memory lane, this part of memory lane or this part of memory lane?
So it would be this road here. I think there's actually one down here and there's one. John, is there any of them west of Casey's?
There are not any west of Casey's. It would be just east of Casey's.
Well, this driveway. Is that what we're saying?
Can you see the storage units, Jason?
I'm looking at the storage units, yep.
The farthest east storage unit, right to the east of that, just to the east of that, there is 2 culverts that come off the highway. They actually run the entire length from the highway down to there.
And they run north and south.
They run north and south, correct. Which would be to the east of Casey's. Yes, they are buried between the east of Casey's and the property to the east of Casey's.
So the inlet you can see by the sidewalk from the aerial map?
You can see an inlet. It'd be on the north side of the highway.
Oh, okay.
Yep, it's actually on the north side of the highway.
All right.
Okay.
Got it?
So he doesn't have to replace them all the way to the north side of the highway?
No. It stops. They stop. There's a bunch of trees. Can you see that bunch of trees from the aerial?
Right by Memory Lane?
Yep, right by Memory Lane, just to the north side of Memory Lane.
Yep.
That's the trees that have to come out. They're just volunteer trees that have come in there.
So the culverts, okay.
The culvert ends there from the highway, and then it starts it's a steel culvert. It's not a concrete culvert.
Okay.
There's 2 of them. There's 2 culverts right there, actually.
The water drains from the highway. The culverts aren't buried in that yard.
There's concrete culverts that are buried in the yard that go all the way to them trees.
Okay. And the
And
ones
then they're
we're
all
replacing.
plugged up with stuff on the other side of the concrete ones.
Okay.
Oh, then we'll start there.
Yep. There's like a 6 foot to 10 foot area there that just pools there right now. And the trees are kind of screwing everything up.
And a lot of these culverts probably didn't fare well with all.
No,
the
they did not fare
railroad
well
traffic.
at all. No, they did not fare well at all.
Okay.
Yep. And I think I know this is a FEMA thing, so.
And do you know our deadline on this? Is this March?
It's March. I don't know the exact date. Nikki, do you know the exact date?
I believe it's the 31st.
I want to say it's the end of March, or yeah, we'd have to check on that. And I made that aware to both contractors.
Okay. So we should probably make an approval tonight to make sure that we can get some reimbursement on these funds from FEMA.
That would be my suggestion.
I'll make a motion to accept the Bid for Mike Griffey Excavation to install 3 30-foot by 24-inch CMP culverts and to demo and haul off trees in the amount of $4,796.
Second it.
Motion. I'm sorry.
Yep, I was. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, let's vote on that motion.
Jason Lacy.
Aye.
Travis Kramer.
Aye.
Scott McCormick.
Aye.
Gordon McGee.
Aye.
Paul Kraus.
Aye. What do you have for us on a waste dump site, John?
I have nothing. I didn't know if you guys had any ideas. Paul, you had mentioned this a while ago and we'd never got it on the agenda. I mean, I didn't know if you had heard from anyone, Paul, and I know you had concerns.
Well, I just know that we don't have a place to take stuff. I don't know how the board wants to handle that, you know. I know we've got people now driving to Blair because their spot is open. People can dump trees in Blair, which I think is kind of an inconvenience for us when we pay to have a place to haul trees. How should we get the trees? Where should we have a collection site? So I don't know, that's something we need to decide today, but because I wasn't thinking about that when I looked at the agenda, John.
Well, my suggestion would be if you guys are gonna do something, we will get that area down by the old sewer plant all fenced in. I would caution against having it open 24/7. Just because we need to monitor it somehow. I mean, if we could have it open from the times of business for the workday and maybe some Saturdays, it's just, we run into problems with people abusing the system. That would be my suggestion. I mean, I have no problem with hauling.
You're talking about a place for residents to take trees for us to haul them.
Yeah, tree branches if you got a storm or if you're cleaning up or whatever the case may be.
But then it's us, the village, hauling it to Griffey's.
Right.
Gotcha. Because we haven't lost Griffey's as our.
Nope, we've got a contract with them and as far as I know, we're still good with them.
Yep, we're still there. Yep.
So not just cleanup weekend, we're talking like a full-time all year long.
I get questions all the time, you know, can I go down and dump trees down there? So, you know, or tree branches or, you know. And I'm hesitant to tell people yes, because I know John doesn't want people down there dumping things, so.
Is that common in other communities, have it open all the time? I mean, year round?
My past experience, we used to have our lagoon site. We had a tree pile, then we had a grass pile. We left it open 24/7. Pretty soon you're having painted lumber, you're having couches, junk delivered there. So then we started closing it at nighttime. And after a while, we pretty much had to get rid of the grass section too, because people just abuse it, so.
Do you have it open year round though, or was it just
Yeah.
after storms or?
No, it was year round.
It was
Then we
year-round.
burn our big pile twice a year or something, but.
Well, if we had it open during the day, that's better than nothing that we have right now. So I mean, I'm okay with something like that. So,
I'm okay with that too, Paul, as long as we have that fence up. I mean, and if we could wait till that fence is up around that old water treatment plant, that would be great. That way we could control it and lock it.
then I say we come back to this when we've got a fence.
Sounds good.
Anything else on your report that anybody wanted to go over or you wanted to, I'd definitely like to get a shout out to Becker Trenching and Water.
That's what I was gonna say, Paul. That was what I was gonna say.
They helped dig up our pool drain that we were having trouble with. The valve was coming apart. It's got like an extension that goes down to the actual valve, which is what, 6 feet under, 4 feet?
Well,
under?
the valve is 14 feet down. We were able to fix it by just going 6 feet down, which it saved us a lot. And I do appreciate them guys coming out and doing that. I know Mr. Todd Becker, who is a member of the community, did a very nice gesture toward the community.
So he's also recommended that we put a valve outside of the pool where it might be easier to repair if we have issues down the road. So we can talk about that later, maybe get some estimates next month. But we've got the valve open for now and we figured out what our problem was with it, so. Anything else you want to talk about, John?
I did start on them, that restroom remodel or restroom siding and inside work at the Bell Creek Park. Hopefully we can get that part done and then get the inside buttoned up before, we will get it done before March, the drop dead date for FEMA. So we're with that. You guys already talked about the library. I met with them. They're going to give us a couple days notice to get that going and get the front desk tore out before they get going on that. Other than that, I don't have anything else, I don't think, unless you guys see something that you want to ask about.
No, I don't think I've got anything.
John, do we have any street signs, like stop signs or anything for replace? I think I saw a stop sign the other day that was looking pretty rough.
Okay, well, yeah, we can order some, Jason.
Okay, I just didn't know if we had any on hand or not, so I'll get with you and let you
Keep them
know.
on hand. Yep, let me know.
Thank you.
All right, you bet.
Speaking about signs, did we order some Dodge Avenue signs as well yet?
No, we have not, but we can do that at the same time we order stop signs.
That would be a good time to do it.
All right.
Stop signs, do you get decals or you get new signs?
It's about the same price anymore, Scott. They don't give them decals away anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll check into it though.
Yeah, I was curious.
No, I'll check into both.
Slap that on top of the sign. Is that what you do?
We've
That's
done them
a good
before, yes.
Yeah, I used to do that.
Yeah.
You can't just repaint those with some fancy paint?
Well, we could, but we have to put, yeah, no, we can't.
Just say hell no.
No.
All right. Thank you, John.
All right, thank you. Hey,
Okay,
by the way,
what's
one more thing, Paul.
Yep.
The feed is amazing. It looks good. That's one reason I wanted to stay home, just to see how it went.
The video feed? Oh.
The feed on the.
You can hear us pretty easily too, John?
What's that?
Can you hear us?
I heard
pretty
you.
well
I
too?
heard you.
I figured you had, knowing how you are, but.
No, everything's good. All right,
Thank
that's
you,
all I had. We'll see ya.
Thanks. Okay, Nikki, you have anything serious for us?
The only thing, I guess.
She's excited about her new software.
I am ecstatic about, thank you. I met with Mark O'Connor from OPPD, and this is related to that power pole, but they are planning to improve our power loops through town. Right now, we have just one big circuit, and they want to break it down into 3 and replace some of the power lines, that sort of thing, so that if we have a power outage, it's a lot easier for them to get power back to us. And that's why they need to change out that power pole in front of the auditorium. Anyway, I think it'll be nice. Everything else was routine.
I wasn't trying to catch you short, my battery died. I didn't want you to think I was shutting it down, so I wasn't gonna listen to you.
There's been a lot going on in the last month or two. I'm really glad that you can say everything's been pretty routine. I've really been impressed with the way you've stepped it up without a deputy clerk, so thank you.
And I heard right, somebody might have applied for a permit or asked if they needed one to get rid of a house.
Yes.
On the block here.
Yeah, he came in and asked about tearing down his house if he needs a permit, and we just told him he needs to contact all the utility people and make sure
Things are shut off.
things are shut off and safe.
Hey, Scott,
Yeah,
with that, I am gonna try, we're gonna try and get a hold of him to make sure he's gonna follow up on that, to tell him that that you were questioning that property. So,
All right, appreciate
yeah,
that.
I mean, I don't, they can say what they want, come to the window and say that, but we need to follow up on that. We will follow up on that too.
Yep, I think that'd be good.
All right,
They're
thanks.
one of the places.
Oh,
Oh,
Would take that tree out of the backyard there.
Sure.
get a new
Good.
power pole so they can bring it across.
Okay, on next
the
month's agenda.
highway.
Anything else for Nikki? Anything else for us? All right. Item 7.
Let the new guy.
Let you make a motion if you want. Your last chance of the night. Make a motion for adjournment.
Okay, make a motion for adjournment.
I'll second that.
Nikki, we have a motion and a second for adjournment. If there's no further discussion, let's vote on that motion.
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye. 8:35, that's not bad.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, John.
Take care.
You too.
439.